Louisiana, Alan Flatman. And I had always had trouble sharpening my pastel pencils. And one of the first things he did in class one day is he took one of these and started going like this. And I went, that was worth it. I was like, wow. The other thing that he did that I thought was so interesting, because preserving whites as a watercolorist and then switching to the pastel with the whole idea of, you know, you build up and you build up to the lightest colors, put your highlights on last. Quite often when I'd start a pastel, I'd start putting the whites on first. And he did the same thing. And it really opened my eyes to the whole idea is we all know how these rules work and what goes on with it, but that doesn't mean it has to fit into your program. I think it's like we've all been told, you have to know all these little rules before you break them. The one thing I still do though, that I really have to watch myself, is I've already worked it quite a bit over here rather than coming across the painting. These first layers are always just so blending.
How many layers do you end up with when you're done?
Oh, I'm sorry. I bet the original building on this had about 4 layers altogether, because I like to build up the color. To me now, for my sensibility, I would really want to spray this and lock some of these colors in and then start working a little bit around them. This blue color that runs here, at the end, it was almost like a watercolor wash, but I just touched it up on top. But that was fixed under there, so I wouldn't disturb it. Now, I might be able to do it. So you can. Actually, with this paper, it actually works really well because it's so darn heavy. So that does work. Was not working. I didn't like it. Stage 1. And so what I did, I lifted what I could, and then I went back over it with gray. Gray will pretty much neutralize everything going on, and then you can come back and almost basically start over. And I'll actually show you. So we'll get rid of some of this. And working on this again is interesting too. This particular piece here ended up with quite a few layers because I fixed it and then I used a pastel pencil that was kind of a sienna color. I don't know if that's exactly what it was, I don't remember for sure. And did a bunch of cross hatching and then fixed it and then put more on just to give it more and more depth. So that looks pretty messy. It's kind of like, oh gosh, it's done for. But it's not. Let's go like this. Now this gray has a little bit of lavender in it, but it shouldn't really matter. So then you get this gray on there, tones it all, just neutralizes the whole thing. So you can very much correct what you're doing. So it's almost like that green wasn't there. So we're playing with it. I think my favorite thing on this was doing these spheres and that corn.
I presume that when the tooth of the paper gets filled up, you're pretty much done with it.
Yeah, and that's exactly what happens. Like the Wallace paper that actually I didn't use Wallace paper, I used an ampersand pastel board. That takes a while to fill up too. But because of the architectural, because this is architectural and these balls, especially that these spheres are cement, if that paper and this paper as well. You guys are wonderful. Thank you so much for